earlier today, I had a client call or, a call with someone that booked on my calendar. And so it was really interesting. I get to talk to sales organizations and entrepreneurs all over the country every single day. And I get to hear a lot of common denominators about the pain points and what they're looking for. We have our offer kind of brings them in, right? Because when someone approaches us or approaches me, books a conversation on my appointment, they're coming for, some specific things, right? Number one, they're wanting to understand if the copy and the video and what they saw online, they want to understand more about it. So my whole process is to, kind of lure them in either with organic posts, on the organic side or with paid advertising. I've been doing paid advertising for a long time, since 2010. So with that being said, it was an interesting conversation with this particular organization because, we have a Cadillac offer, and our Cadillac offer is one that really speaks to sales organizations and marketing companies that are, that need lead flow to feed their business. Now, all sales organizations need lead flow. Many marketing agencies are reliant on being able to provide lead flow and sell lead flow to their buyers, right? We do that as well. So with that being said, as I started to dig into the conversation that I was having with this client, I started to realize they were in Windows, right? So Windows is their main focus vertical, and they're in Charlotte, North Carolina. They operate probably within about, I'd say, an hour and a half to 2 hours radius of Charlotte, North Carolina. Last year, they did $20 million in sales, right? $20 million. And as I was talking to them, first they approached us about our pay-per-lead, which as we started beginning to talk, started to hear, a lot of the pain that this individual had. And it's not that he's not doing a good business, because he's doing great business, but he's stuck on a cycle, right? A hamster wheel, if you will, of trying to figure out where the best possible leads are going to come from at price points that are going to be agreeable for them, backing out to a desirable cost of sale acquisition. So with that being said, he let me know that on average, his exclusive lead cost, which, for him, with the vendors that he's working with, exclusive is not something that really exists. I mean, and that was one of his pain points. But the cost of his lead on average is around $150, right? Right away, I'm starting to think, okay, well, tell me a little bit more about your business structure. Now, he went on to say that on the back end of things, when leads come in, he's really well positioned and set up for his outreach, right? So he claims that he gets to the inbound call or the actual, not the inbound call, but he gets to the customer, the client, the homeowner within 30 seconds. So that's great. That's the goal. Many organizations out there do not put enough emphasis on their outreach and how fast the speed to the lead. But at the end of the day, speed to the lead still trumps everything. I don't care what kind of nurturing you have. I don't care what your email drip campaigns are like. I don't care what your SMS campaigns are like or what AI you're running on the back end. King of everything is still speed to the lead via the phone call, right? If we can get to them within a 30-second mark, more times than not, you're going to be in a position to be successful. So with that being said, he began to talk. I began to listen, right, more and more intently to what is going on with this individual. Bear in mind, $20 million in sales, last year. So it's not chump change. This individual is doing a lot of the right things, but he has some serious pain, right? Now, what is that pain? Well, high cost of lead acquisition for one, and then the frustration of just having to constantly be looking for providers of leads and measuring their effectiveness, only to have to start all over when a vendor is not providing what it is they need. So stick with me for a minute. As I began to just, listen a little bit further to his issues, I asked him very point blank, an organization of your size, why are you reliant on others? Why are you reliant on others to continually feed the machine? And I asked him very straightforward, why are you not running your own ping tree? Why are you not taking your customer acquisition in-house? And he said, his response was, I don't know how to do it, which was not a surprise to me. Many organizations, and first off, if I'm having this conversation with an organization, number one, in my mind, they're qualifying. They've qualified themselves as an organization that can actually leverage mastery, implementation of their internal customer acquisition through an effective use of the ping tree environment, right? So ping tree is typically been reserved for lead gen, right? Lead gen at scale. Ping tree is a distribution. It's simply the software that distributes leads in volume, right? So as far as lead gen goes, and we use it internally, and many of the large lead gen companies where it's on a pay-per-lead basis are leveraging the use of ping tree. Let me explain to you what it is, just like I explained to this individual what this is, right? You operate the system internally. It's your system internally, right? With that being said, you go out and you link up many different publishers and affiliate networks. These are the providers of traffic. These are the providers of leads into your system, where you're only accepting what you need to accept to ramp up your own sales, or you are simply accepting them because you have a buyer on the end, i.e. the lead gen model. You have a buyer on the end, and as it distributes through from the network to your system to the end buyer, you're going to be able to select a margin, whatever your margin is. Maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 50%. It's up to you, right? Typically, it's dependent on the buyer and how much volume the buyer is going to be buying. If you are going to be working with a buyer that is going to be accepting a large amount of volume, you want to go a little bit leaner on the actual margin itself for the promise of volume. If you're working with a small buyer, you're going to want to get a little bit more margin, because at the end of the day, you don't control whether or not that small buyer has their act together on the back end of the sales side of things, right? And that does matter. So as I began to talk to him a little bit more about, his business, very quickly he just jumped out and said, look, this is something that intuitively I understand, but I have no way of knowing how to implement it, nor do I have any way of managing it. I'm in the dark. You're introducing me to something behind the veil, behind the curtain. And I'd say 95% of organizations do not really understand that this type of power, this type of control is actually available. And so obviously that is our Cadillac offer, right? Where we are implementing and we are mentoring and we're basically walking you through pursuant to your strategy, pursuant to whatever it is that what your goals are, whether it's to ramp up your own sales internally by controlling the cost of the lead in any market, any lead, right? Industry agnostic, Medicare, insurance, home improvement, construction, whatever the case might be, solar, HVAC, windows, gutters. This particular individual was windows, right? $20 million in sales last year. Still looking for solutions, still looking for efficiencies, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a core frustration that they're not in control, right? A system like this and an implementation into that business of a ping tree ran properly is going to give them absolute control, because they have full transparency at that point as to where the leads come from, which leads are going to be, or which leads are working out best. Based on the feedback loop of the internal sales organization, we identify what's working best. We ramp that up. Anything that's working marginal, anything that's not working at all, you eliminate from being able to come into the system, right? So you spend better targeted money. This is not rocket science. This is a system that already exists. The only thing is, how do you manage it? How do you implement it? Where do the leads come from? Which publishing networks do you work with? Which affiliates do you work with? How do you do the integrations? How do you do the feedback loop? How is it all made effective, right? And that's what our Cadillac offer is. So as I began to talk to him a little bit more, he was immediately sold. And we're not talking about, this is a big boy, big girl setup, right? But you don't have to be a big boy or big girl in the business realm in order to be able to see the value here and implement this, right? There is a path to this. So for me, it's exciting. my path to getting to the point of having this particular offer available to the market came with a lot of pain and a lot of trial and error. My agency, Solar Savings USA, I kind of focused in on solar back in 2015, and now we're industry agnostic because of this system, being able to just work in any lead vertical from day one, being able to ramp up scalability simply because of the amount of volume that's coming in, made available from the networks, the affiliates, and the publishers that we would basically just place inside of a new client's system, right? So what this is it's the ultimate amount of control, right? But it is a system that people do not really understand is even available. So how do they even get to the point where they can run it effectively? That's where we come in, right? So anyway, needless to say, this client was closed, right? And many organizations that I talk to that say, close to 100% of them are understanding it right away, because right now, the way they're doing things is they're buying overpriced retail leads. The only thing they can do is complain about the quality, and they cannot affect any of the quality. They can't affect the traffic because they're buying on a retail basis from organizations, agency model, all of those things, high retainer fees, etc. Right? The secret is in the system. The secret is in the implementation and the follow through in using SOPs that are firmly established, right, into every step of the way, continuing to raise the quality, dialing in to bidding strategies from all of the volumes of leads that are available and making it work for your sales organization, as well as at the same time, turning it into a carrot. Whoever controls the lead controls a lot of things, right? If you have the lead, if you have control over the volumes of the leads, you can ramp up your sales. Plus, you can also bring in other buyers, right, in non-competing verticals, or maybe even in the same vertical, as long as you get something in return for that. Now, it can be margin. If you're an EPC, it could be the actual installation. There's a lot of different possibilities. One system, we call it the Alpha Ping Tree, and it is a system implementation and a mentorship and a track to help organizations have competitive advantage, because, things are not easy for sales organizations, and certainly things are not easy for lead gen marketing companies that are simply just internal media buying, right? And they're trying to scale, and they need leads to scale the effectiveness of bringing on B2B clients, buyers, right? But from day one, upon implementation of an Alpha Ping Tree system and setup inside of the organization, you get full control and a lot of possibilities to scale, right? So it's just, it's just par for the course. Doesn't matter. I mean, I'm talking to large organizations that are spending a ton of money on retail buy, right? You don't have to buy retail anymore. Get the lead at wholesale, know exactly where the lead comes from, and be able to affect and control all things. That is the path to setting you free and being, to the point that you're not having to worry about your customer acquisition anymore, trying on lead provider after lead provider, agency after agency. This is all in-house. This is all internal for the benefit of the organization, right? Great call this morning. Another happy client brought into the system, excited about the possibilities, and I'm excited about working with them for that term, a 6-month term, 1-year term. They have choices. So with that being said, and just wanted to come here, shoot this quick video, explain a little bit more about the process and about the system. I don't know of any other individual that is offering this type of an offer, right? Any organization. I mean, this is a very niche down specific, offer that is going to help an organization if they are in the business of leads, either for their own internal sales, or if they're a marketing agency trying to ramp up their B2B, their flow, and making sure that they can just continually scale, right? Alpha Ping Tree. Thanks so much.